In the very heart of Russia, in a remote and austere corner, there is a place that terrifies even the most hardened criminals. This is a prison known as the Black Dolphin, a prison in which prisoners are kept in conditions that seem impossible to perceive. It is home to the most dangerous people in the country: murderers, terrorists, rapists, those who have become living embodiments of horror for society.
Black Dolphin is not just a name. It's a symbol of the relentless and unforgiving power of the Russian prison system. This notorious prison, located in the Ural Mountains, holds some of the most dangerous criminals in Russia, including serial killers, terrorists, and other individuals who have committed heinous acts. The prison's brutal reputation has spread across the world, making it synonymous with fear and despair. But what exactly makes Black Dolphin so terrifying? What is it about this institution that causes even the most hardened criminals to tremble at the thought of being sent there? The prison was founded in 1990 and quickly earned its reputation as one of the most secure and restrictive facilities in the country. It was designed specifically for those who were considered a danger to society and whose crimes were so horrific that they could not be allowed to live among the general population. The prison is known for its strict regime and harsh conditions, where the line between punishment and torture often becomes blurred. Architecture and structure design of Black Dolphin prison is as terrifying as its reputation. The building itself is a fortress with thick concrete walls that seem to stretch endlessly into the sky. The prison is isolated in the middle of nowhere, far from the nearest city, ensuring that the prisoners are as cut off from the world as possible. The structure of the prison, meticulously planned to create a sense of absolute control and fear. Every corner, every hallway, every cell is designed to remind the prisoners that they are under constant surveillance. Each cell is a tiny, cramped space that offers no privacy or comfort. There is only a small window, often covered with bars, which allows very little natural light to filter through. The walls are thick, and the floors are cold and hard. The prisoners are confined to these cells for 23 hours a day, with very little opportunity for physical movement or interaction with others. When they are allowed outside for a walk, it is always done alone, with no chance for socializing or forming bonds with other inmates. The sense of isolation is overwhelming, and for many prisoners, it becomes impossible to retain any semblance of hope or sanity. The surveillance system in Black Dolphin is state-of-the-art. Every movement of every prisoner is monitored by cameras, motion sensors, and even facial recognition technology. The guards, who are specially trained to deal with the most dangerous criminals, are always on alert. The slightest misstep can result in severe punishment, and the consequences for disobedience are extreme. The prisoners are constantly reminded that they are not in control of their own lives. Every aspect of their existence is dictated by the prison system. The life of prisoners' life in Black Dolphin is not just harsh, it is dehumanizing. The prisoners here are treated as little more than animals, stripped of their dignity and humanity. They are subjected to a regime of strict control and punishment that leaves little room for rehabilitation or personal growth. The majority of the inmates have been convicted of some of the most brutal and heinous crimes in Russian history. Serial killers, pedophiles, terrorists, and those who have committed unspeakable acts of violence make up the population of Black Dolphin. However, it is important to understand that many of these prisoners did not simply choose to commit such acts out of malice. Some have suffered from severe mental health issues, others from childhood trauma or social neglect. For some, the crimes they committed were the result of circumstances beyond their control. But in Black Dolphin, there is little compassion for the complexities of their backgrounds. The focus is on punishment, not rehabilitation. The conditions of imprisonment are designed to break the prisoners, to strip away any sense of self-worth or hope. The lack of interaction with others and the constant surveillance create an atmosphere of paranoia and fear. Many of the prisoners develop severe psychological disorders as a result of the isolation and lack of human contact. Depression, anxiety, and even psychosis are common among those held in Black Dolphin. For some, the prison becomes a personal hell, where every day is a battle to maintain some semblance of mental stability. The impact on prisoners' mental health is profound. Long-term isolation, coupled with the oppressive atmosphere of the prison, leads many to experience severe psychological breakdowns. Many of the inmates are left unable to cope with the brutality of their confinement, and some are driven to madness. The lack of meaningful rehabilitation programs only exacerbates the situation, leaving the prisoners to suffer in silence. The system of punishments in Black Dolphin. Punishment is not just about keeping order. It is a tool of control and subjugation. The prison's brutal regime is designed to break the prisoners' spirits and ensure that they are completely subservient to the authorities. Even the smallest infraction can result in severe punishment, often in the form of extended periods of solitary confinement, where the prisoners are isolated from the rest of the world for months or even years at a time. Punishments in Black Dolphin are not limited to isolation. Prisoners who disobey orders or show resistance are often subjected to physical violence at the hands of the guards. Beatings, threats, and other forms of intimidation are used to enforce the prison's rules and maintain control. The prisoners are constantly reminded that any attempt to challenge the system will result in brutal consequences. But it is not just the prisoners who suffer from the brutal atmosphere of Black Dolphin. The guards, too, are affected by the extreme conditions in the prison. Many of them become desensitized to the violence and suffering that surrounds them. The constant fear and aggression that permeate the prison create a toxic environment that takes its toll on everyone involved. For the guards working in Black Dolphin is a psychological burden, and many are left with deep emotional scars after their time in the prison. Rehabilitation. Hope. While Black Dolphin is known for its brutal treatment of prisoners, there is an ongoing debate about whether the prison system could ever be reformed. Human rights activists argue that the conditions in the prison are inhumane and violate basic human rights. They claim that the harsh methods of punishment used in Black Dolphin only serve to deepen the trauma of the prisoners and make it even harder for them to reintegrate into society after their release. On the other hand, there are those who argue that Black Dolphin serves a necessary function in society. Some believe that the prisoners held there are too dangerous to be allowed to live freely, and that the prison is justified in its methods of punishment. However, even among those who support the prison's existence, there is concern about the long-term effects of such harsh treatment. Many question whether the brutal conditions of Black Dolphin actually reduce crime, or whether they simply create more hardened criminals. The lack of rehabilitation programs in Black Dolphin has led to calls for reform. The prisoners are not given the opportunity to address the root causes of their criminal behavior, and as a result, many leave the prison in worse condition than when they entered. The absence of therapy, education, or vocational programs makes it almost impossible for prisoners to reintegrate into society after their release. Conclusion. Black Dolphin Prison stands as a testament to the Russian penal system's commitment to absolute control and punishment. Its reputation for brutality is well deserved, and its conditions have earned it a place as one of the most feared and infamous prisons in the world. The prisoners held within its walls are some of the most dangerous and violent individuals in Russian society. But the true cost of this prison is not just the physical suffering of its inmates. It is the psychological toll that the prison takes on those who are forced to endure its horrors. The lack of rehabilitation, the constant isolation, and the harsh punishments create an environment that destroys not just the prisoners' bodies, but their minds as well. As the debate over the future of Black Dolphin continues, one thing remains clear. It is a place that will forever be etched in the annals of history as a symbol of the darkest side of the Russian prison system.